night she brought a different man home, shattering my heart and turning me into a laughing stock. I never fought back. I never cried or argued. I simply moved into the study, quietly staying out of her way. She hated that. One night, furious, she kissed me roughly and whispered, "Aren't you jealous?" What she didn't know was that I was sick. While she spent each day trying to hurt me, I was silently counting down how many days I had left to live. In the third year of our marriage, my wife, Claire, started to meet this young, handsome college student. His name was Ryan. He was tall, good-looking, and exactly Claire's type. She kept him around for over 6 months longer than any of the others. My friends warned me to be careful. They said Claire seemed genuinely attached to Ryan. The first time I met him was on my birthday. I'd woken up with a nosebleed that wouldn't stop. At the hospital, the doctor told me I probably wouldn't live past spring next year. I nodded calmly and said, "That's fine." I wasn't afraid of dying, I just didn't want it to hurt. There was an expensive medication that could ease the pain, but I didn't have enough money to afford it. So, I went to Claire's office to ask for help. That Claire's name was Ryan. He had just graduated and was working as Claire's assistant. Claire was in a meeting, so I sat in the lobby to wait. Ryan kept glancing at me, then leaned over to whisper to his coworkers, "So, that's the husband. He looks awful so skinny and sick, like he's on his deathbed." He laughed and added, "People say I look like him, but I don't see it. I'm way better looking." I caught my reflection in the glossy glass ball. Messy hair, a puffy coat that made me look even prior. He wasn't wrong. I wasn't much to look at, just a man waiting to die. A coworker nudged him and whispered, "Don't underestimate him. If he cleaned up, you wouldn't even compare. And don't forget, Claire loves him. If you piss him off, she'll destroy you." Ryan wasn't convinced. He rolled his eyes and smiled. He brought me a cup of tea and asked, "So, Nathan, why is Claire making me wait so long?" It's weird whenever I stop by, no matter how busy she is, she always makes time for me. She says I'm her priority. He smiled smugly, and for a moment, I saw a bit of my younger self in him. I thought about it. Claire did treat Ryan differently. She'd had countless lovers over the years, using them as pawns in her game to provoke me. Every night, she brought home someone new, testing my limits, but she never kept them around for long. A day or two, maybe a week. She always got bored quickly. Ryan, though, was different. She spoiled him. She took him out to dinner, shopping, and movies. He acted like a boyfriend. She gave him money, but she also gave him affection. I looked at him and smiled gently. If you're so important to her, why settle for being her dirty little secret? You should divorce me and Ryan's expression darkened instantly. He glared at me, his voice shaking with anger. "You're the one who's useless here. You're nothing but a kept man. You only got to her first. But now, you're old, you're ugly. What can you possibly offer her?" His coworker hurried over, pulling him away, clearly worried I'd be upset. But I wasn't. I promised myself long ago that I wouldn't get angry because of Claire. I wouldn't feel sad because of her. And I definitely wouldn't stoop to competing with her lovers. She wasn't worth it. Ryan was pulled back by a coworker, but he lost his balance, fell to the ground, and shattered the teacup in his hand. Blood poured from a deep cut on his palm, pooling on the floor. Through the glass of the conference room, Claire saw what had happened. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, she threw down the papers, pushed the door open, and hurried over to Ryan. She grabbed his hand with visible distress, frowning as she examined his injury. Her voice was cold as she asked, "Who did this to you?" The coworker who had tried to help Ryan stepped back in fear, their face pale. I let out a dry laugh. It was me, and honestly, he deserved it. Ryan gritted his teeth and glared at me, then shouted, "Yeah, I deserved it. I fell for someone I shouldn't have. I'm the one being called a kept man, a plaything." "But Claire," he said, looking into her eyes with a mix of defiance and passion, "as long as you love me, I'll stay by your side forever. No one can take me away from you." The words were absurd, but the way he said them so firm, so sincere made him seem almost brave. Claire couldn't help but laugh. She reached out to ruffle his hair and said softly, "Don't be mad. You're going to make me worry." She treated him differently. That much was obvious. I lowered my gaze, no longer interested in the scene. Instead, I calmly said to Claire, "For my birthday this year, I want $50,000. It was funny, really. We were married, yet we didn't have each other's phone numbers. The only time I reached out to her was when I needed money. Before we got married, we had an agreement. Claire had always hated how materialistic I was, but in the past, no matter how much I asked for, she would always give it to me without hesitation. This time, though, she looked at me with a cold smile and said slowly, "You can have the money. But Isaac first, lower your proud head and apologize to Ryan." Claire was willing to pay $50,000 to buy back my dignity and give it to Ryan in the form of a color. It was the first time she had used money for the sake of another man. I clenched my fists and forced myself, holding back the sudden wave of pain that surged through my body. I turned and walked away. I didn't need the money anymore. For the first time, I was curious about Claire. If one day she found out that this money could have given me more time to live if she knew how much I'd suffered before I died, what kind of expression would she have then? I went home alone, curling up in bed in pain, drenched in a cold sweat. After taking a sleeping pill, I told myself, if I fall asleep, it won't hurt anymore. Half asleep, I dreamed of when I was 20 years old. Claire was dirt poor back then, but she loved me deeply. That year, on my birthday, I walked past a cafe and saw a couple sitting by the window. Delicious and expensive. I still remember the snow falling on the cafe. I scooped up a lump of snow and tried to Claire and made it Claire as it was looking at me. She didn't let me see the tears welling up in here.
Official MLB account posted this announcer trying to explain One Piece, and I'm a little bit late on it. I can explain it barely. before we begin, I would like to... They're going against some windows whose main site won't even revert their spirits into one another left and right. We did see Rayo on stage saying, I still can't stay now fighting with Rayo. We don't manage to get Rayo did say, I hate to admit it, but this is Shido's team. And then the very next page, we see Rayo kick the ball to Shido, saying, I'm still on someone who can stand this. And Shido gets set to kick an amazing goal. And then in the very next page, we see Shido kick that same ball. This amazing scary face with Bono saying, right? Just saying, him saying, go on. For the ball, he says, no, this pure fire isn't strength. As he tries to reach it, Luna says, you're still young, as he pushes the ball even further away from him. With Nagi saying he read my move and blocked me. He's fast and skilled, and he's smart, with Luna saying, train your heart and mind, little baby. Nagi saying, more skillful and adaptable version of Rayo in every possible way. This is a world star. as Luna manages to score a goal. In the very next page, we hear from Silva, Pablo, Nagi, and Adam Blake saying, "Wonderfully done, Luna. Just as I'd expect from the world's best club." Silva saying, "World's best," followed by Pablo saying, "No, me." Adam Blake responding saying, "No, I am, you shitheads." With Luna saying, now everyone, save it for after you score. That's so immature." And on the other side of the ball, Nagi, Chigiri, Zantetsu, and Otto are all shocked. It's not innocent world 5. Can you believe that shock? With Nagi asking to himself, do they all believe they're the best in the world? That fire erupting up inside me in the last match. Do they live with that as the fact of life all day, every day? This is and that is them just standing on the starting line to becoming the world's best. Little does he know.